Welcome back everyone to more career mode gameplay of SRX, the game. And it is now time for our first showcase event here in the super late models. We're headed to Lucas Oil, and this is one of the tracks I've been looking forward to because it's 7/10 of a mile, which is definitely the longest track that we've seen so far, but it doesn't have a ton of banking. Now, I'm not sure how the graduated banking it does have in the corners is going to play out in the game, whether it even exists in the game, but I really want to see what the racing is like here, because right now we have tons of grip and a very wide track. Could be the recipe for a lot of fun, or could be a recipe for a lot of follow the leader type racing. Either way, I really hope that it is a lot more fun than what we had in our last video, where it was just hold your foot to the floor, everything was spread out, and not a whole lot to look forward to in that race. So I'm hoping for a lot of good things here at Lucas Oil. Of course, those of you not familiar, Lucas Oil Raceway is a real track. So what we're about to go to is a track that actually exists, and in fact has had a lot of great racing there in the past. Not so much anymore as the track has fallen out of favor, but very old surface, and generally in real life provides some really great side-by-side racing. All right, let's go ahead and do our repairs, $1,885. And keep in mind, in the top right-hand corner, our money, we're at $49,217. We need about 10 grand more than that. I want to be somewhere around 59 or 60 grand in order to do our last, what will likely be, for the time being, our last upgrade in the 305 car, so that we can then start our push toward the championship in that series, and then hopefully move our way into some higher series. Because what I really want to get to is the dirt late models, and then of course ultimately the SRX cars, but the dirt late models are where I really want to be right now. So that's the next stop that I'm interested in. But right now we've got a showcase event, which means more money, higher payout. $17,500 here, 50 lap main event. Let's get to it. Practice and qualifying all done, and this is not what I was expecting or hoping for from Lucas Oil Raceway. Lucas Oil Raceway is known for being a very challenging track. You can run everywhere from the very bottom all the way up by the wall at the very top, and so far this track has not shown me that. We are wide open, or very nearly. At this point, my car, I breathe the throttle just a bit, and I mean barely, on corner entry, and no brakes, of course. Yeah, this is not what I was expecting or hoping for. Let's see what the race brings.
Can't wait to see how this one plays out.
All right, we're going to be starting once again about 16th or 17th, I believe, from qualifying. And these fast guys, if they're able to run basically the same type of race as me, meaning that they're either not out of the gas at all or very little, this is going to be fast. All right, let's see what happens when we get down here into turn 3. I'm going to be breathing the throttle quite a bit because we're in traffic, but yeah, these guys weren't out of it that much. All right, really nowhere for us to go. We could try to make it 3 wide there. Ooh, look out. We could try to make it 3 wide. But I'm not sure that's going to help us out a whole lot. I'm breathing the gas maybe back to about 90% throttle or so on entry, just to let the car rotate. Now, if I worked on the setup a little bit more, I could probably even get rid of that. But I've left the setup essentially identical, other than the gearing, of course. The setup is basically identical to what I've ran everywhere else so far. Every once in a while, I will make a small change to Wait, hold on. I thought we had somebody outside there. Apparently not. To the stagger, the right rear stagger, just a little bit. And generally what I will try to do is, the flatter the track, the more stagger I will use. But even that isn't something you really have to do, because at most of these tracks you can do just fine with the setup without it. It's a feel thing. But overall, I feel like it can give me a little bit more speed if I do it by adding more stagger. So it's a preference thing. But it definitely makes the car feel a little bit different. Alright, so here we go. This is starting to remind me of last race. A lot less banking here, but longer track, longer corners, not as sharp here, so you don't need as much banking to hold you in, and yeah, I am barely out of the throttle. Now, of course, we don't have a fully upgraded car, which means we don't have as much speed. So you might think maybe that's it, but I almost guarantee you that is not it. I feel like even if I were fully upgraded right now, we would be dealing with the same type of car. We'd just be going faster because we'd have more grip as well as more horsepower. Yeah, you can get right down that yellow line, even a bit below it, without getting onto the flat part, which, if memory serves me, even the flat part is used quite a bit in real life just to try to get this thing turned through the corner. Because running the bottom in real life at this track is torturous. It can be done, but the guys running higher are going to have all the momentum. Yeah, I'm all but wide open at this point. Yeah, this is to me when the game is missing the point. I know the additional grip is there to help out people who either are playing on a controller or might not be familiar with racing games and, you know, setups and all that kind of thing. So it's trying to make it more accessible and more fun for a wider audience. I definitely understand that, and I'm behind that concept. I got no problem with that. Not everybody's trying to be iRacing and go for ultimate realism. However, to me, this is just a huge overstep because you're missing the fun of a track like this. Same thing at Stafford, you're missing the fun of those places where you got to slip and slide, manage the throttle, manage the tires, and all that kind of thing. You're missing the fun of the track by just allowing us to essentially run wide open around here. At this point, I'm barely lifting on entry, almost just out of habit at this point, just because my brain is telling me, hey, this is Lucas Oil, you should not be driving it in full throttle. Ooh, got that on the flat there, wasn't paying attention. So now the question is, how quickly does the leader catch us? I mean, we're what, 125 or so miles an hour on the straights, 119, 118 in the corners. I mean, geez. Yeah, 119 in the corners. Oh, once again, not paying attention. I was looking somewhere else on the screen. I'm sure my crew would appreciate it if I paid a little bit more attention to what I'm doing. Now we got a car behind us who's trying to pass us. Obviously, they have more speed than us. We're up into 12th. 13th is where we were in the last race. Yeah, particularly if you have a chance to arc it into the corner, you really don't need to lift at all, even without any setup work. So I'm using basically the same thing as the SRX right now, as I have been. Again, I make a few adjustments from time to time, but they are generally minor. I leave the air pressures for each of the 4 tires alone. I don't know that I've changed any of it in these cars. I'm trying to leave enough room for that guy. He gets right to me on corner entry, trying to give him just enough room. So I leave the pressures alone But other than that, it's pretty much an SRX setup in this car. Now what this really does is it makes me want to go run the SRX car outside of career mode, of course. Go run the fully upgraded SRX car, go run the fully upgraded super late model at this track and just see how the car handles. See what kind of speed you've got, you know, that kind of thing, just to compare. Because I would really love to think that the reason why I'm able to run this thing flat out or 99% flat out is because we don't have enough horsepower to run enough speed here. But I don't believe that's the case. He made me work for that pass. He didn't leave me a lot of room. He left me enough, but he didn't leave me any extra, that's for sure. Okay, there we go. So there's your leader. So Crawford comes blowing by us. Let's see how well he does as he speeds away. So it took him about half of the race to catch us, so we're not as far off the pace as I thought we might be. Anytime you're wide open with a lot less horsepower than the leaders, I just feel like they're going to be by very quickly to lap us. So I believe this is the first 3 cars coming by. Yep, that's 3rd place. Alright, so we'll try to follow them by this lap traffic. 1 car at a time. Again, not a whole lot of traffic out here. Looks like 2nd and 3rd are duking it out. Trying to figure out which one of those are going to try to catch that leader. But for us, we're just sort of out here until we get lapped or lap a car that's slower than us. Not a lot going on. Like I said, this is not what I was expecting, nor was it what I was hoping for from Lucas Oil. Alright, so the question is, will our payout be enough to get us that next upgrade in the 305? Because we're not going to do any more upgrades in the super late model, not for the near future. Trying to save up a little bit of money so that whenever we get going a little bit, because right now, I mean, we're running great. I mean, we're running right at 10th to 12th, 13th, somewhere in that range, unless we get into a shorter track with a lot of lap traffic where we can really move forward. But when we get to dirt late models, now for those of you who may not have been with us the entire time, as I try every few videos to remind you guys of sort of what my game plan is here in the career mode. Next up, if we're able to win the 305 championship, if and when. Because my plan for that is to lower the difficulty 1 step. We're currently on expert, which is 1 step below max difficulty. So I want to lower it 1 more step and see if that's enough to put us in contention for race wins in the 305s. If it is, then hopefully we can win a championship this season there. Ooh, look out. He came right down in front of me. That certainly didn't help our cause at all. Let's see if we can pass him on the outside. Do we have enough speed to do that? So if we're able to win the championship in the 305s, then we move up to the stadium trucks. Now I have as much fun as I have no doubt that they can be to drive. They're not why I'm here. So we're going to be skipping by that one. And by skipping by, I simply mean for the channel purposes. What I'll do is I'll turn the difficulty way down on that. Try not to do any upgrades to the truck and just try to win the championship as quickly as possible. That is no fun at all for me to do, but I just don't have the desire to sink a lot of time and money into the stadium trucks. What I really want is the dirt late model. So the quickest we can get to the dirt late model, the better, because that's really where I want to be right now. Because again, if you haven't been with us, especially over the last several videos, once we got done with season number 2 and had our chance to move up here into the super lates, that's when we found out that in order to move through the different divisions, you had to win the championship. I assume that's because SRX is supposed to be the series of champions, even though that's, if you look at the driver lineup, that's not really the case. But I assumed that was the reasoning behind it. I just wish that I would have known that from the start, because I was hoping that we could finish like top 15, maybe even top 10 in the points, and that would allow us to move up. Didn't happen that way, so we're having to backtrack a little bit and figure out another way forward. But we'll get there. The super late model does not matter where we finish as far as our progression forward. It is simply an extra DLC that we can run as much as we want and does not affect our progression, at least based on what I've seen so far. And as is always the case, I'm subject to being wrong. It's happened before, it'll happen again. Alright, for anyone wondering, if you happen to be listening to the engine sound, particularly on corner entry, trying to see if I'm lifting, I am no longer lifting at all. Again, it was almost just a courtesy lift at the very beginning of the race. But I'm probably going to have to lift here momentarily, because we are going to be in some traffic. And I have no idea how this is going to work out. Trying to give everybody room, because I knew there was some lead lap cars coming through. That's one. So far this is shaping up about identically to our previous race. Alright, go ahead and move high and give him some room. But yeah, I haven't lifted in, I don't even know, several laps now. While I've been talking about different things, the progression, the cars, series, and all that kind of stuff, I've not even thought about lifting my foot off the throttle, except, as I mentioned, in traffic. And look at these guys 2x2 in front of us. See, that's what I want to be doing for position. And having to lift and use the brakes and all that. That is what I'm really interested in. Now, one possibility, and I've talked about this in NASCAR Heat before, in NASCAR Heat had a lot of the same issues about having too much grip and not enough speed on the straight lines, again, for more accessibility and that kind of thing. But one possibility that really intrigues me is, for my personal fun, would be to have the max engine power, so max horsepower we can get, and the minimal amount of grip. So no upgrades to the tires, chassis, suspension, any of it. Leave those alone and simply run the car like that, because that would at least give us the most horsepower and the least grip we can get. You might also realize that I have moved up the track a little bit a lot. At this point, with these last two races, I'm trying to make this fun any way I can for myself. I apologize to you guys that I really wish the racing wasn't like this, but hopefully we'll get back to some tracks where we can start some more beating and banging here shortly. But yeah, I'm just moving around the track, mostly just to have a little fun as we are finishing this race up. The second groove is actually a lot of fun to run here. I wonder what the third groove would be like. So it gets me to thinking. So 11th position, at some point I passed the car and didn't even realize it before position. So 11th position once again. How many cars on the lead lap? Looks like 7, and Was there a fight for the lead? Definitely not. Definitely not. Almost 4 seconds ahead. Second place was also bored. Now, third and fourth, they fought it out a little bit. But yeah, you can see there was not a lot of cars close to each other fighting for the race lead or even the top 5. So that's definitely not what we want long term. That's not what we're here for. But it looks like right now that's kind of where we are on tracks of this size. So 11th place, let's see what that does for us on the money. Now we're sliding back down in the standings overall for the season points because, well, this is about where we run, anywhere from 10th to about 13th. So that's about where we're sliding down to after at least one great finish in the top 3. So 9th overall. Let's see what kind of money we got. $9,100. Oh, I like that. That gives us $12,000 overall, and now I'm a happy man. Because that should give us enough money that next time when we come back, we can do that upgrade to the 305s. But for today, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and stick around for more SRX, the game.